I think we played well in spots. I didn't like the way we played in that third quarter a little bit, and obviously in the fourth quarter some things transpired. But they were violent. They ran to the ball. Obviously, we started with the takeaways that we had, throughout the game. But the explosive run and, the two explosive runs, we can't have that. And, that soured the day. Obviously, souring the day is not winning. And we got to be better in those areas. I want him to play with the tenacity that he plays with, and I want him to play hard. But the penalties must stop. At the end of the day, we have to clean it up. And, I've been raised with the thought if you allow it to happen, it's not good. So we've addressed it. We're going to keep working on him getting his hands down at the top of the route, not grabbing, okay? And then understanding when is the point to take your hands off of receivers, right? At the beginning of the stage, yes, be violent with your hands, move your feet. But as they start to go in the move area, we got to drop our hands. So it will be addressed. We will do things throughout the course of the week to correct it. But the penalties aren't acceptable. And obviously it hurt us in the game. That was an organizational decision. Sometimes, as players, you got to protect them first. But he went out there. He had a certain amount of plays from an organization. We said that was how much he was going to play, and he came out. It'll change week to week, okay? But how soft tissue injuries happen, not having a lot of time on task and callousing your body to be out there to play those extensive plays. And as an organization, if he goes out there and get hurt, you don't want that to happen either from a soft tissue standpoint. So we were all in on it, and we'll move forward from it.
Did those 18 or 19 plays he had, did that show you some promise that you can expand his workload?
Well, I just see this. In those 18 to 20 plays, he was playing his tail off, okay? He was effective. First play on that pass that he had on the sideline, he knocked the ball out. Obviously they wasn't in the field of play, but you see the violence. He had a PBU. He moved well. He was quick. He was in position. So, I'm excited about where he's going, and we'll see what happens this week.
Do you wish you would save some of those reps for the second half, or does that risk him getting stiff on the sidelines and not being able to stay in a flow?
Well, the thing that happened is it's fluid, right? When you say you want a player to play so much, it becomes fluid. He was out there with his extended drive, and one thing that I've always been taught is, when people tell me to do something, upper management or whether the coaches or whoever, you follow the rules. And, we had a plan and we executed the plan, and then we'll have a plan this week. And it's our job to execute the plan. And we'll see where it goes this week. It'll be a thing. I mean, every week organizations send in clips or talk to the refs about certain things, and it could be a target on his back. But, as a DB, when you play with your eyes and you play with your feet first, because really being disruptive is about your feet. It's not about your hands. So when you can move and get in position, just like in basketball, taking a charge and keeping your hands inside, and then understanding once you have them, letting them go, the penalties are decreased. And, you know what? It's the first game, and we had a huge conversation and just on the offseason about penalties as a whole. He understands that the penalty hurts, and, he doesn't feel good about it. We don't feel good about it, but it's for us to correct it. And he's a guy that's willing to correct the mistakes and get better from the penalties, and he's going to do a hell of a job of trying to decrease them.
Regretful calls all the time. Coach said yesterday, I think there's always plays you want to have back as a play caller or as an offensive staff. There was a couple ones where they gave us a couple unscouted looks. We got in too many second and longs, which took away some of the other stuff. So I think you look back in some of the game situation, the way the drives played out took away some of the other stuff we really wanted to do. Some of the penalties and some of the negative plays. I think that's where you feel like as a play caller and as an offensive staff, we left too many things out there that we wanted to do.
How much of the way that game was called was a reflection of it being the first game for the quarterback and wanting to tailor that to him? What were you just opening the spigot and calling it the way you would for any other guy?
No, we had a specific plan for what we wanted him to handle and how many situations we wanted to put him in. And like I said, when you get behind the chains and really that inefficiency on first and second down really left to a couple of things of you didn't get some of the calls off that you wanted where you could have protected him or you could have had some other things where he's not just truly in drop back situations. Yeah, one of them, Tony had just come off a big long run and kind of gotten us back in that situation. And so, he was really just kind of out of gas. And one of those ones was just a sub in that regard. And then the other one, we wanted to get Julius in there. And, Julius is a big, strong guy, and that's kind of playing to his strength. And so there's a mix of both of them happening.
Is there trust in Tony to do that if he needs to do that?
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely. He's a good, dirty runner, and he can always finds himself a yard there. And one of those was just kind of a game flow situation. They hit some of those. We were kind of hitting some of those gap schemes really well, and kind of were able to get some creases in there. And they kind of kept condensing the front and some of those things. So they really just kind of ended up losing some one-on-ones internally there as the game went on. And then it really just the game really condensed. We getting in the chip game, getting in that kind of played a little bit of phone booth football there at the end. And I think some of those ones would maybe move guys out and those things. But you can always there's adjustments off of adjustments. We just need more plays.
I thought he did a fantastic job decision making. Even the opening kickoff, they kicked it about 2 deep, and he took a knee. Great. We didn't want to force anything, and we'll take the ball at the 35. He caught a couple punts that were fantastic decisions, and then he really did a good job on the one he returned. You could see him look at the ball, and then he took a peek at the gunner, and then he went back to the ball and made a decision to return it. So that showed a lot of poise. But also, we were confident in his ability to track the ball and catch the ball and just run the return kind of as it was called. And I thought he's really stuck to the plan like we figured he would because he's a really sharp kid. So I thought the first time out of the gates he was very strong.